Welcome in the latest episode of What I Bet. I'm your host, Real_G Warner, across all social media platforms. You can find this podcast on the Straight Outta Vegas AM feed or on Twitter.com, X.com/ pregame now. Of course, we will be doing the big card of Wednesday, May 13th. We have some soccer, mainly in Spanish La Liga. Also have a Premier League match and the Coppa Italia final, plus the Stanley Cup playoffs, a single game, and a decent Major League Baseball card. Give you a promo code to save you some money at pregame.com. And of course, a What I Bet best bet coming up. Our last episode, we did get out a loser. Unfortunately, Nick Lodolo coming off the IL lost 10 to nothing. No thanks to his bullpen, unfortunately. But we'll be back on the right track. And let's get it started without further ado. Let's go to where the money is, and that is the English Premier League. We'll start with Manchester City. They are hosting Crystal Palace, and that is a big battle for the Premier League title, which all of a sudden seems to be in doubt after a long time of everyone thinking Arsenal would win it. Manchester City, a two-goal favorite to Crystal Palace. Total is 3.5, juiced all the way to under. So we might see this fall to 3.25. I doubt it because everyone who wants to bet in Manchester City match seems to bet them over. They score a ton of goals, they dominate games. But the nice part about this setup is that Crystal Palace are a really defensive team and they know what they're doing in a lot of ways, I think, to prevent offense from the other team. Two-goal favorites, Crystal Palace. There's two-goal underdogs. They really just have to go on the road and keep it close. Big question, though, is how much they care about this. They're worried more about other competitions. The Europa Conference League they played this season, plus they have a manager leaving, a bunch of players they've sold all season, dating back to the last season as well. Michael Olise has gone to Bayern Munchen, amongst others all over the place. And soon we'll see more sales, especially as their manager leaves. But Manchester City, they've not been as dominant for the past couple seasons. Well, they were the most dominant team in what felt like all of European football. But it's been a little bit harder for them as of late. They've had a really good run though. They just have to win by 3 goals to take your bet. So, or to take your risk. So I'm pretty interested in Crystal Palace getting 2 goals. It certainly correlates to under 3.5 because I don't really think Crystal Palace will cover in a high scoring game. So if you like those two, maybe parlay them, maybe play them straight up, tech together, hope for a split, or really ideally winning both of them and then getting out of there laughing all the way to the bank. We'll now move to the next matchup, or I guess next country, and then we'll go for more Spanish La Liga matches. So I'll go to the single matchup, and that is in Italy. The game is being played at the Stadio Olimpico, which is actually where Roma and Lazio play. Lazio, technically not the home team. Tickets should be split for this the Coppa Italia Italian League Cup, basically a playoff system that they play in the background, while they, of course, are playing a league setup that plays like Major League Baseball, winning the pennant from back in the day. I think people understand that now because of, excuse me, the NBA Cup that came in and Adam Silver put in place. But this is a big matchup, and one thing I love about competitions is everyone believes they can win, and that usually means low-scoring matches. We didn't see that in Copa del Rey final between Real Sociedad and Atletico Madrid earlier this season, but Lazio, they get to, I guess, pseudo host in their home stadium, Inter Milan, the Scudetto winners, champions of Italy, which was a nice plus, I think, nearly 3-1 odds bet that I made earlier this season, and very happy to just cash that already without having to even sweat it out towards the end. But with that said, Lazio, 3/4 goal underdogs right now. Almost all the juice is on Inter as we speak. Um, Currently a minus 102 at Bet Online on Lazio to minus 118 on Inter Milan. Total this one is 2.5, juiced very heavily to under. It was juiced very heavily to over yesterday. So I'm not as concerned about a move to 2.25. A lot of times you'll get a lot better juice. Yes, if it lands to you in half a bet as instead of the full bet. But I'll wait to see what happens. I just think we see a low scoring matchup. So I lean very, very intently towards under 2.5. And welcome the yawns. It is late night with the real_G Warner. Unfortunately, they come. Now we'll go to Spanish La Liga, and we'll start in the early matchup. We do have one, two, three, 4 matches on Wednesday. Had 3 today on Tuesday. We'll start with Villarreal hosting Sevilla, and there's a lot of drama at the bottom of the table. Villarreal in third position really don't have much to worry about besides Atletico Madrid passing them, but they're in Champions League place, so they shouldn't have much to play for, and that's a big deal later in league seasons, and we're there in Spain right now. So I guess get an idea of where this number has moved from. So currently, Oh, am I missing a game? Oh, sorry. I skipped one, but we'll start with. I'll circle back to another noon Central Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Time start. That's why I cover this. If you're into finding some matinee action, certainly no better place to go than European soccer. But Villarreal, currently half a goal favorite right now. Almost all the juice is on Sevilla. It was very juiced earlier. So some Villarreal money has come in. I don't know necessarily why that would be the case because Villarreal have really nothing to play for. Sevilla are in the relegation mire. I went to a match a few seasons ago when they were like defending the Europa League championship. And they are now fighting relegation. Entered this match day in 13th position, 40 points, only 3 points ahead of the final or best relegation spot. So they're in danger. 3 matches left to go in Spain. Certainly could see them finishing in a position going down to Segunda División, which would be crazy and lose probably half of their squad value or the value of their club, which has been certainly going to the sewer, to say it mildly, lately. But total in this one's 2.5, just very heavily to over. I don't know. Sevilla just haven't really been able to score goals much for years. That's been their biggest problem. Though in the past they defended well and pretty much won 2-1 or 1-0 or something like that. It hasn't been as easy for them ever since their ownership basically went bankrupt or broke and then had to sell a lot of their talent, but and not really replenish it with great players, or maybe they just picked the wrong ones. But regardless, they brought in a really defensive manager who I think will end up keeping them up. And there's a lot of teams that are likely to go down. Literally anyone is in danger, it feels like, with 3 matches left to go. And that's 9 points on the line that Alaves could potentially get. Levante could get 9 from 36, get to 45, and that literally puts you in European places. So it's wide open in Spain, and honestly, crazy how competitive it's been in La Liga this season. With all that said, Sevilla plus 1/2 of a goal, my biggest interest in that matchup. We'll go to the one that's listed before rotation number wise, but starts at the same time. Kickoff for Espanyol and Athletic Club Bilbao. Currently, Espanyol a pick'em with a little bit more juice on the home team. Total in this one is 2.5, juice incredibly to under, which is really just meaning that there's 2.25s out there as a true market. And I'll choose to use that one. Athletic Club Bilbao, who I really liked coming into the season, one of the actually the only loser I made in soccer futures. I did pick Inter Milan to win Italy, Barcelona to win in Spain. Both of those have cashed, but I did pick Atletico Bilbao to finish in a Champions League place or at least top four in Spain, and they are nowhere near that. Has been a really bad year. Struggled to add another top level competition, and their players all got hurt and got worse or looked to try to make moves to other clubs or whatever the heck happened, but it didn't go very well. Well, they are in position. I mean, I guess everyone's in danger of potentially getting relegated at this point. They're sitting ninth position, though. Espanyol has had a horrible, horrible, terrible, awful, any sort of adjective run. And as soon as the calendar turned to 2026, and honestly, we're one of the favorite clubs for me to back earlier in the season. Really love their manager, and I'm worried that he might not return. But Espanyol is a pick 'em at home. Looks very interesting to me. They have a lot to play for. Athletic Club have little to play for, in my opinion. I guess they're trying to get into Europe, so that does matter to them. But I haven't seen them perform well this season. It's been pretty disappointing seeing 13 wins, 5 draws, and 17 losses. Pretty embarrassing for how they've done, especially after finishing last season at such a great spot. Managers leaving, all those sort of things. I don't know that there's a ton of fight in that club anymore, though that's something we always expected from them heading into this year. To the last, I guess, 2 matches in Spain before we get to the National Hockey League card and then Major League Baseball card on this Wednesday, May 13th. We'll start with Getafe hosting Mallorca. Currently, Getafe are a half a goal favorite right now. All the juice is on Mallorca's side, and climbing. So clearly the marketplace does like Mallorca quite a bit. They're currently on 39 points entering this match day, Jornada, as it's called in Spain, in 15th position. Getafe all the way up in 7th, somehow in a European position, despite no ability to score goals or to trust them to score. Biggest interest for me is always with Getafe matches is under 2 goals. It's rare. I mean, we saw a lot of 1 3/4 earlier this season. Yes, they've scored some more goals to climb up the table recently. I'm just not a believer. So let's go under 2 goals. And I like the Mallorca position a little bit more. They've been playing a lot better since they sacked their manager, fired in European soccer terms. Improved a lot ever since then. Just go figure on how that works. To the last matchup, we'll go to Alaves hosting Barcelona. Currently, Alaves a half a goal underdog, and that has gotten much cheaper than it was earlier. I don't know if people I mean, for some reason they're betting Villarreal because they're higher in the table. I'm guessing. I guess bet Barcelona after they are celebrating winning La Liga and going away and doing it against Real Madrid in their own stadium. I mean, those are all things that I'd like to be against. Alaves are in serious relegation concern, but they are I'm guaranteeing effort from Alaves. They usually have it, but this will be some of the best they'll get, especially at home. Barca, I can't even guarantee that they'll get off the bus or what team will be in playing at this 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff on Wednesday, May 13th. So give me Alaves. I like the plus one half. Feel like it might get cheaper. It has been so far since I've been watching it. Total in this one is 3, and don't really want to do much with unders with Barcelona. I'm not an overplayer. Sorry for everyone that's just learning that now. But Barca, I just can't trust them to defend, and that certainly could play into Alaves' hands late, potentially to steal a draw, which I think they'd look as a good point, and win you a full bet on that last matchup in Spain. Now I'll move to the National Hockey League, and I unfortunately don't know that I'm having much to say about this one. All I know is, unfortunately, I'm just getting really sick of the Vegas Golden Knights beating me in overtime because it's happened 3 times this playoff already. But the only standalone matchup on Wednesday, May 13th is Minnesota Wild visiting the Colorado Avalanche. Currently, Minnesota plus 173, total 6.5, and it's used very heavily to under. All the juice at Bet Online is on under. Minnesota Wild, I mean, it was a very competitive game 4 in St. Paul. Things started out well, took a lead. I think they were 4-0 the last 4 games, or 4-0 this playoffs after taking the lead. And at one point it was 20-4 in shots, despite the score being 1-1. Colorado looks really dominant, and I don't know that there's much I want to do here to get involved because I just don't think Minnesota is in the same stratosphere as Colorado at this point. Unfortunately, saw them a bunch of times, twice live in the playoffs here in Dallas, as I live across the street, and once in one of the last games of the regular season as well. And I thought Minnesota was better than Dallas, but it seems very clear to me that Colorado is the best team in the Stanley Cup playoffs, I think, so far. So not much for me there. Maybe under 6.5. We see a tight game and Minnesota fighting for their lives. But Colorado seems to score every power play. And they missed, I thought, a lot of good opportunities in that last game in Minnesota. And we'll see if they can keep that up, or if Minnesota could somehow deliver enough hits to keep them, I guess, off balance or something like that. Now to the Major League Baseball card. We'll start with the only early matchup on this Wednesday card that actually has a line so far. There's the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, Reid Detmers visiting Parker Messick of the Cleveland Guardians. Messick minus 150, which is enormous, but kind of reflects what Reid Detmers was priced on the road at Dylan Cease in his last start in Toronto on Friday, which I thought was really competitive. Total in this one is 7, juiced minus 110 both ways. I like under. I think we see a low scoring game on getaway day, and maybe the Cleveland weather will participate or help or something like that. Cooperate is what I was looking for. Next, go to the Washington Nationals. Jake Irvin visiting Cincinnati Reds and Nick Lodolo. Lodolo, as I mentioned, was the best bet in the last episode. He's minus 156 at home. I don't really trust that whatsoever. Total is 9. This one juiced pretty heavily to over. If anything, I don't really trust Jake Irvin as well in Cincinnati. Great park for home runs. I'll go over 9 in that matchup. Next, go to Colorado Rockies and Jose Quintana visiting Pittsburgh Pirates and Mitch Keller. Keller minus 175 favorite because the Pittsburgh Pirates are suddenly priced like one of the best teams in baseball, or just kidding, they're facing the Rockies. Total's 8.5 in this one, juice minus 110 both ways. No real filling. Maybe under. Next, go to the Philadelphia Phillies and Andrew Painter visiting the Boston Red Sox and Sonny Gray. Gray minus 126 despite recently coming off the IL. Total is 9. This one juice more to the under. I lean over. Andrew Painter's been not great since coming to big leagues, and I feel like the Phillies are really regretting letting Ranger Suarez walk across the diamond, actually, to the Boston Red Sox. Next, we'll go to the Tampa Bay Rays and Griffin Jacks, great name, visiting Toronto Blue Jays and Dylan Cease. Currently, Cease minus 150, plus 136 coming back on the Rays. Total 7.5, juice minus 110 both ways. The Rays have been super hot, piping hot, all the things hot. Yet the market doesn't like them every single day. I do, and I've been betting them quite a bit. So give me plus 136 Griffin Jacks in his transition to a starting pitcher. Chicago Cubs and Shota Imanaga visit J.R. Ritchie of the Atlanta Braves. And somehow Shota Imanaga is minus 131 road favorite. Yes, he's been good this year, and I believe in him. But this is a scary team to play, especially one that can find a way to score a bunch of runs, and really a lot of that is from home runs. So all those things are bad signs to me. It doesn't really line up very well with Shohei Imanaga, in my humble opinion. I think there's Richie. You could certainly argue as a rookie might not be trustworthy, but I like the plus 119. Totals 8.5, and this one juiced all the way to over. And I think we see some runs in that matchup as well. Next, go to San Diego Padres. Michael King visiting Jacob Misiorowski and the Milwaukee Brewers. Brewers minus 150. Total is 7, juiced a little bit more to over. I don't think we see a lot of runs here. Two good bullpens. The Brewers' offense is much better, but Michael King has been great to start the season. Also went to my high school, so I've got some history with him, not really in person, but I've been following his career quite a bit, and I really like what he's done this year. Said he's been throwing for a lot of different angles with his arm and getting his arm in the right positions this year after finally a healthy offseason. So plus 136 in the Padres, that great bullpen looks good to me. The Royals and Seth Lugo then visit the Chicago White Sox, and I think Noah Schultz. Anyway, minus 105 both ways. That feels very cheap for me on Seth Lugo. Continues to do it. Has good history with the Chicago White Sox, if I'm not mistaken. Totals 8, just a little bit more to under. No real feeling there, but I'm waiting to see if Kansas City closes an underdog. Miami and Max Meyer visits Minnesota Twins and Simeon Woods Richardson, who's like the worst starting pitcher that keeps getting the ball. Miami's surprising minus 120 road favorite until you consider who's pitching on the other side. Totals 8.5, juice minus 110 both ways. I'm looking for Miami to become an underdog, but I don't think it'll happen. Next, go to Arizona, visiting the nearby Texas Rangers. Arizona and Ryan Nelson, Kumar Rocker going for the Rangers. Rocker minus 117, favorite totals 8.5, juice more to the over. Nelson's hard to trust, but Kumar Rocker can hold runners. Doesn't really seem to have arm talent at this level like he did in the College World Series for Vanderbilt and all the other stops where people gave him a lot of credit. I like Arizona and I like under 8.5. I just like under in every Rangers game at home in that gas grill of a ballpark where the ball doesn't fly and it's really hard to hit home runs. Seattle and the Mariners, they are finally starting Bryce Miller, first his debut this Major League Baseball season. Lance McCullers going for the Houston Astros. He's always injured, doesn't really hang in games long. Over probably looks good. Over 9 minus 115 here. Seattle's a favorite on the road, which is odd for a debut, but we'll see what happens in that one. Next, go to the St. Louis Cardinals. Matthew Liberatore visiting the Oakland Athletics, formerly Oakland. Find me. And JT Ginn minus 142 is enormous considering how limited his arsenal is, but he's been pitching well lately. Total is 10, just all the way to under. I think we see some runs this one. Liberatore is living on borrowed time. Last but not least, San Francisco Giants. Before we get to a save you some money promo code and the what I bet best bet, but we got Robbie Ray plus 201 for his arm. And honestly, what I used to make a ton of money was backing him as a giant underdog at the Dodgers with Arizona, like 4 teams ago for him. But he's facing Shohei Ohtani, and unfortunately, minus 225, and the Dodgers total is 8, which feels pretty small for a Dodgers game. And I could certainly see Robbie Ray leaving in the fourth inning, throwing 99 pitches or something like that. So might lean over in that matchup. Let's now get to the promo code I promised you all at the beginning of the show that will hopefully save us some money at pregame.com. Let's go. It is Shine10. Good for $10 off anything, including rest of May all access on pregame.com. Get every pick and every sport from your favorite pro through May 31st. Could be me, Griffin Warner, on pregame.com for less money than your normal 7-day all access price. So you get 30 days, or excuse me, rest of May access. So 18 because there's 31 days for cheaper than a 7-day price. Rest of May all access available for $99. Is only $89 after you use promo code SHINE10. S is in Sam, H is Hotel, I is in India, N is in Nancy, E is in Echo, 10, save $10. Good through the 26th of May. So you've got a while to use it. But go, don't wait. It's a good way to use it. Save some money at pregame.com and keep this show on the books. For my best bet for this episode, let's go with that Philadelphia Phillies, Boston Red Sox over 9. And that'll do it for this episode. I'll see you on the next What I Bet, hopefully coming out to you all tomorrow night, the 14th of May. Now for the video portion, the What I Bet. 3, 2, 1. Hey, this is real underscore G Warner across all social media platforms. This is the What I Bet podcast, specifically the What I Bet best bet from the What I Bet podcast on the Straight Outta Vegas AM feed, also found on Twitter or x.com/pregame. Now, best bet for this episode, we're going the Philadelphia Phillies and the Boston Red Sox over 9 runs. So Andrew Painter, a big top prospect for the Phillies, has not delivered on those expectations. Sonny Gray on the Red Sox side has not been great. Has been battling injury. Is more solid of a pitcher, but I don't expect him going deep in this game. As he hasn't really gone deep in games since his, I don't know, 3 stops ago with different teams in his Major League Baseball career. Then we turn on the bullpens for both of these teams. I don't trust either of them in a small, tiny ballpark with no foul territory like Boston. I think we see some runs. Go over 9 Philadelphia Phillies at the Boston Red Sox on this May 13th edition of What I Bet.